All right, so you've been there, right? You flip the switch on your water pump and silence. The whole off-grid system just dies. Well, if that sounds familiar, trust me, you are not alone. Let's dig into exactly why these powerful appliances are tripping your inverter, and more importantly, how to fix it for good.
This is such a classic, frustrating problem, and it happens even when you think your system should be perfectly sized for the job. The real reason it's all shutting down, well, it's a lot more complex than just a simple power mismatch.
And this is where things get really serious. Because the most common advice you hear, just buy a bigger inverter, it doesn't just miss the point, it's actually dangerously incomplete. Following that advice could lead to permanent, expensive damage to your equipment. Okay, so first things first, let's break down exactly why that simple advice falls so short.
This really gets to the heart of the knowledge gap. On one side, you've got what everyone tells you: buy a bigger inverter, check the surge wattage. But what they're missing, that's the whole story. We're talking about things like power factor. Think of it like this. It's how efficiently the motor actually uses the power it's pulling. If the power factor is bad, that motor is drawing way more power than it's actually using for work, and that puts a massive strain on your inverter. Then you've got these huge DC spikes from the battery, voltage sag, and maybe the scariest one, motor stall damage. These are the details that really matter.
So, to really get to the solution, we need to peek under the hood a little bit. We gotta understand the hidden physics of what's actually happening inside that motor the exact moment you flip the switch.
And here is the absolute key point. Not all electrical gadgets are created equal. Your lights, a toaster, your laptop charger, those are simple resistive loads. They just take power and use it. But motors, pumps, compressors, that's a whole different beast. They're what we call inductive loads. And the name comes from the fact that they use magnetic fields to do their work. And that magnetic action is the clue to why they are so incredibly difficult to get started. This brings us to the main villain of our story, something called inrush current. See, when a motor is just sitting there not moving, it has almost zero electrical resistance. So for just a split second at startup, it's like a black hole for electricity, demanding a colossal amount of current to get going. It's only after it starts spinning that it generates its own kind of internal resistance. We call it back EMF, which then, and only then, brings the current draw down to a normal, manageable level. So just how big are we talking? It's huge. We are talking about 3 to 7 times the motor's normal running current. That right there is the knockout punch that your system just isn't prepared to take. And look at this. This chart just lays it all out perfectly. You've got a pump that's just humming along, using maybe 800 watts. But to get started, it can demand over 3,000 watts for just a blink of an eye. If your inverter can't deliver that massive instantaneous burst of power, well, that's it. The whole system trips to protect itself. Okay, so now let's look at the dominoes that fall. Let's trace how this one single surge event creates a chain reaction of failure that ripples through your entire system. It all happens in a flash, really. First, the motor demands that insane amount of power. Second, your poor battery has to try and supply this enormous spike of DC current to the inverter. Third, that intense draw pulls the whole system's voltage down. We call that a voltage sag. And finally, one of two things happens. Either the inverter's safety circuit trips and shuts everything down, or worse, the motor fails to start and it stalls. And that last part, the motor stall, that's where we go from a simple, annoying shutdown to a potentially catastrophic failure. See, when a motor stalls, it's basically stuck in that high current, low resistance startup phase. The current stays dangerously high, and the delicate copper windings inside can overheat in seconds, literally melting and causing permanent damage. So here's maybe the most important safety tip in this whole thing. If a motor tries to start and fail, stop trying. Just stop. Every time you try again, you could be cooking it to death. Okay, enough doom and gloom. We know the problem, now let's talk about the solutions. Here are 5 concrete steps you can take to design a system that can handle these tough loads safely, reliably, every single time. Number 1, size your inverter for the surge power, not just the running watts. A 3-to-1 ratio is a pretty good rule of thumb to start with. 2, and this one's a biggie, we'll come back to it, increase your system voltage to 24 or 48 volts. 3, use thick, properly sized cables. This is so critical. Thin cables are like trying to drink a thick milkshake through a tiny straw. They create a bottleneck during that current surge, your voltage drops, and the inverter gets starved for power. 4, for really big motors, you might look into a soft starter or a VFD to ramp up the power nice and gradually. And 5, this one is absolutely non-negotiable. Always, Always use a pure sine wave inverter for motors.
Okay, so I told you we'd come back to number 2, and here's why. Increasing your system voltage from 12 volts to 24 or even 48 volts is an absolute game changer. It is the single most effective thing you can do to reduce the stress on the entire DC side of your system, your battery, your cables, everything. And this table shows you exactly why that is. Let's say you have a 1200-watt load. On a 12-volt system, your battery has to pump out over 100 amps of current. That is an extreme amount of stress. Now look what happens when you jump to a 48-volt system. That same 1200-watt load only needs about 25 amps. It's just simple physics. You've cut the current by 75%. That means less heat, less voltage sag, and way less stress on every single component in the chain. And just a quick final word on inverter quality. You want a pure sine wave inverter. It gives you clean, smooth power, the same kind you get from the grid. This helps motors run cooler, more efficiently, and it makes that tough startup process a whole lot easier. Honestly, for inductive loads, anything less is just asking for trouble.
All right, so as we start to wrap this all up, I want to leave you with a sort of golden rule for designing your system.
It's about shifting your mindset. The wrong question to ask is simply, will it run? The right question, the one that's going to lead you to a reliable, long-lasting system, is this. Will it run safely, repeatedly, and without damaging itself or anything else? That change in perspective, right there, makes all the difference. So I'll leave you with this to think about. Take a hard look at your own setup. Is it designed just to work for now, or is it truly designed to last? Because understanding these inductive loads, that's the first major step to making sure it does.